everyone. Welcome back to Intentional Youth Ministry. So glad that you joined with us for part 2 of our conversations with youth pastors. And joining me again is Shane Brockett, been a youth pastor for full-time ministry now for seven years. And hopefully you got to see the last episode. It was awesome. We took some of your questions and just got some great knowledge, honestly, from Shane's experience over the last 7 years and really 9 years in ministry, I guess, all in. But we kind of left last episode, and I kind of teed up a question for you. And one of the things that I so respect about you, Shane, is how you have, it seems like, again, from the beginning, really done a great job of pastoring students beyond your youth service, right? So that Monday through Friday, connecting with pastoring students, not just like waiting for a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night, but really pastoring them throughout the week. And so talk to us a little bit about why you think that's important and kind of how you've done that, I guess.
Yeah, so I think early on, man, I think it caught fire. I think that, in our early days, we were very small. I think we only had a couple students, but I just realized I didn't have enough time to pastor them on a Sunday morning. The 9:15, 11:15 service, I got maybe 45 minutes with them. And I just realized, man, that there was a burden in my heart that I need to be more intentional outside of church with these kids. So I really just started walking up to the kids, and I was like, hey man, let's go grab pizza. Let's go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, whatever it looks like. And I just started building these relationships. And the thing I noticed, honestly, is how much it impacted their family. They were like, man, my son came up to me and said, man, you want to take my son out to pizza. And I can't tell you how much this impacted them as a family. But then I just started seeing a lot of fruit from this. I started seeing a lot of trust and relationships building with them. But I think my favorite thing is not just going to Publix or not Publix, going to Chick-fil-A or going
hanging out at the Publix.
Starbucks. But I think it's just doing life with them. I think that we see this a lot of times in Scripture, Jesus doing ministry side by side with a lot of the disciples. And I think that oftentimes when we do that with students, it goes so far. For instance, if I need to go shopping for youth on a Wednesday night, I'm going to, hey man, I'm picking you up in 25 minutes. I'll be at your house. You're coming with me. And I just hang out with them and do life with them. And I just hopefully plant seeds in their lives and allow the conversation to pick up to where it's just like, man, I'm Pastor Shane, but I'm also just being a friend in these moments to know that I'm always here for you, not just here on a Sunday morning.
Man, you just dropped 2 incredible nuggets in there. So I want to dig into a couple of them and make sure everyone caught these. Because you guys, I don't know, it might have just kind of blown by without everyone catching it. But you said 2 things. The first one I want to hit on is you talked about the impact you've seen in the family unit as a whole.
Yeah.
Man, you talk about, I think this is such a huge thing, right? Not to go too deep into this. I think I've done some episodes on this. But, the reason why youth ministry is so valuable to the church, a big part of why it's so valuable, is because of the family unit and what's happened, how it's deteriorated over the last 50, 60 years, right? So in that, man, what you're talking about is actually you're seeing an impact in the family unit as a whole and how it's impacting the family, the household, not even just the individual student, man. So, do you have a story or an example? That's incredible, man. Just that engagement piece or having the whole family kind of impacted.
Without kind of just saying names, I think back to West Campus and even at North River Campus, I started just hanging out with these kids, and then their family never went to church. And then over probably a couple of months of hanging out with them, spending time with them, right? Their families, entire families, as a whole, siblings and moms and dads, started coming to church with them. And as I met them, they were just like, my son loves hanging out at church so much with you and all your leaders that we just had to see for ourselves what's going on at this church. And to me, man, that's children's ministry 101. You get the kids, you get the family. And the same thing applies for youth ministry, man. You connect to those youth, and them family members are going to be like, man, what is going on? And I want to be a part of it. And it just gives an opportunity to kind of reach them as a whole.
That's incredible, man. I love that. And then the second thing that you were talking about was you talked about, so you were talking about I love this. You were talking about connecting with students and just doing life with them. I think sometimes I'll talk to youth pastors who kind of say, hey, I just don't have time to create all these additional events or moments or experiences to hang out with students during the week or to get my volunteer leaders to do that. But if I understand what you're saying and what I've kind of seen them play out in my time in youth ministry is you don't have to.
Right.
You're already doing you just said it. You're already going to the beach on Saturday morning. You're already going to the Home Depot to pick up some stuff to work on some project around the church or your house. Invite some students to come and be a part of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
100%. Yeah, and I think that it's just exciting to get the kids involved with what you're doing. Like you said, you're already doing it, so why not knock 2 birds out with 1 stone? Hey, just come be a part of it. Come hang out with me. Let's just do life together. And then it's cool because you let your team know what's going on. Man, I met with so and so. I brought them to so and so. And then you'll go out in the community and you'll see your team doing the same thing. And I'm like, man, that's just, that's ministry right there. Is when your team is replicating what like you started with them years ago.
Come on. I love that, man. That's so good. And I think that's so powerful. I mean, I think back even to like growing up, you know, and my story was it's an interesting story growing up in my home dynamic. But for me, my youth pastor was really pivotal in kind of my development, who I am today.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things he did so well, and I don't even know if he intentionally knew he was doing this as good as he was, but one of the things he did great at was that exact thing. I mean, he would make it a point to, hey, I'm going to do some work around the church. Well, hey, do you want to come with me? And I'd run with him to the Home Depot, and then I'd go work on the church, spend a day with him doing that. Or on a Sunday after Sunday morning services, hey, do you want to come hang out with my family? And I go hang out with this family. We'd drive to the Taco Bell. I'd go hang out with this family and wait for youth group that night. But getting to see the way that just he lived his life,
absolutely,
the way that he's treated his wife, the way that he raised his kids, man, like that had such a huge impact. Yeah. So I think that's so important that you're doing that, man. Yeah. One thing in that I want to ask you, because I think there's another side to that. You said just a minute ago, I think you were talking about how you're seeing now your team, like your volunteer leaders out in the community doing the very same things. And I will say I've seen that, Shane. Like one of the things, so we live here in the same community, and one of the things that I have seen is Shane, I've seen a lot of your leaders out at soccer games, and I'm going out to watch my own kids play soccer games, or the Friday night football games, or I'll show up to concerts for my nieces, and I see you or some of your leaders at those things. Talk to us about the importance, though, of, because I agree, like inviting them to be part of your life, but talk about why it's important for you or your leaders to get out to some of the things and engage yourself in what they're doing as well.
Yeah. I think it's so many levels. I think it's one way, man. Honestly, as a youth pastor, it kind of lightens the load a little bit for you. And then I think another thing is just there's something about just doing life together. Yeah. Man, there's something about just showing up and high-fiving the family and say, man, or high-fiving you after a football game and coaching you and encouraging you, man, at your sports game. I don't know what it does. I don't know the science or whatever it looks like, man. But there's just something relationally. Yeah. that does for a relationship with students that you cannot get anywhere or any Sunday morning or any Wednesday night, man, because it's just saying to them, physically they're seeing you, they're like, man, my youth pastor believes in me. My youth pastor loves me, cares about me, not just from an attendance or numerically number, but man, he cares about me as a person. And I think when we get to that place and a student sees that, man, then they're going to be with you by your side forever.
I love what you just said, Shane, because honestly, this is a great place for us to kind of end cap it, if you will, because I think it's so great what you just said, is when students start to understand that you, as their leader, right, that you actually care more about them and what they're doing and engaging in their life. You're not just caring about them so that you can get them to come to something you're doing, right? Like, in other words, I think sometimes we're really good at connecting with students when we're trying to get them to our event or to our service or to the thing that we're doing.
So good.
But man, last time I checked, Jesus has called us to like pastor people and love people where they're at. And so man, I think that is so huge, man. Like, and honestly, like something that our lead pastor for years has told us is pastor your city, right? Pastor your community. Even if they never come to the doors of the church, the beautiful thing is you've seen them and whole families come to the church. But even if they never do, you being a pastor to those people and just loving people where they're at in the community, man, such an awesome thing, man. So thank you for investing in people, man. That's awesome. Thanks so much, man, for coming and joining us, man. Our first conversations with youth pastors from, honestly, one of the best youth pastors in the country. So honored to have you with us. Love you guys. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Intentional Youth Ministry. Take care.
See you guys.